Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Kitchen Chaos with Jackie. So I'm sorry I didn't get a video posted for you last week. Things have been a little bit crazy, as I'm sure you all know, dealing with the coronavirus and everything that it has affected. It affected our life, of course, like everybody else, and things have just been a little bit chaotic around here. So besides what's going on in the world, I've actually started a new job, a whole new career, back in the hospitality business, something I haven't done since I was much younger, and I'm enjoying it. Although it kind of came at the same time as all this chaos, so that's been a little bit of getting used to. Plus, my hours have changed. I'm now on second shift, which I love, not getting up early in the morning. But yeah, there's just been a lot of changes. Let's see. Also, I had a birthday. We had St. Patrick's Day and also spring. So, although I have to tell you that here in Pennsylvania, it's been very cold the last few days, and I don't know where spring is, but yeah, there's some green stuff going on though, so I'm enjoying that. So, tonight for dinner, we are going to be using some leftovers and some fresh vegetables that I got from my job. So I'm going to create something new. It's going to be a chicken Parmesan stuffed yellow squash. So I have made similar dishes with zucchini. I have not done the way I'm going to do this one tonight. So I invite you all along for the ride so you can come play with me in the kitchen while we figure this out together. I think it's going to be delicious. In my head, it sounds great. So we're going to see what happens. So guys, I know I feel a little bit down, not quite as perky as I usually am. And I think it's just because the stress of the unknown that's happening right now in our world has really affected me, again, as it has affected everybody. I am not one who watches the news or pays much attention to what's going on in the world, simply because I feel it too much. And I cannot let myself become overwhelmed with all those feelings. So I kind of keep it at a distance. But in this instance right now, with everything that's going on, I've actually been keeping up with it and reading the news and trying to be well informed. So I hope you all are doing the same thing. It is a scary time, something that is so contagious, that is running so rampant. Being a diabetic myself for a very long time, even though I'm in much better control now than I have ever been in my life, is still scary because it would take longer for me to heal and bounce back from a pneumonia infection than it might for somebody else. So I'm just being very cautious, not really going out. I did my normal grocery shopping a couple of weeks ago before all of this happened, so I don't really want to go out because everybody's out. So we're just going to be using, like I said, some leftovers and some things that I've gotten from work. So enough of me chit-chatting. Let's get this party started. Okay, I'm going to go show you what we're going to be pulling together today. All right, guys, so what we have here is our cast of characters for tonight's dinner. This is going to be relatively easy and simple, and again, these are just things that I've already had in the house. So I have 2 large chicken breasts that George had done on the grill for me, or for dinner, the other night. So I'm going to chop that up. I also have some pepperoni and some mozzarella cheese. And I have homemade marinara sauce that I took out of the freezer. So we're going to be using that. And then I have these 2 beautiful yellow squash that I got from work. So we're going to split those in half and I'm going to stuff those. So that is our cast of characters. And we're going to go ahead and get started with this, okay? Okay, so the first thing that we're going to get started is we're actually going to cook our yellow squash first. The reason I'm going to do that is because the filling's already cooked and I don't want to dry out the chicken anymore. So I have the oven set at 400, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these down the middle. Like so. And then I'm going to scoop out some of the seeds that are in here. I'm just going to take my spoon and just going to go around the gut parts. Now normally when I do this with zucchini, I actually save the middles and I use them in other dishes. I might do that for this. I'm going to check to see how seedy it is. Sometimes when they're bigger, the seeds are bigger and they're not very pleasant to eat. If these aren't bad, then I'll probably just use them in maybe a vegetable mixture that I'm going to do tomorrow. So I'm just going to take my spoon, like I said, all the way through, and just dig out as much of that middle part as I can so that we can put the filling in there. All right, so creates a little boat, which is really wonderful. I really love to stuff squash and zucchinis and It's just a nice vessel for things, especially when you're doing low carb. It's just, it's the new way that I do casseroles. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. I can see there's like a little boat there. So I'm going to do that with the other ones, and then what I'm going to do is put a little bit of olive oil, season them up with just a little bit of salt and pepper, okay? So let me get finished on those. And that's what they look like when they're all done. Okay, so like I said, I scooped out all the seeds. So it was pretty seedy here in the bigger part, but not in the neck of it. So I actually put that aside, and I'm going to go ahead and chop that up and add that to the chicken. It'll just add a little bit of extra moisture to it. Good way to use up that vegetable, and I think it'll be good. Okay, so we're going to put this in a 400-degree oven. We're going to bake it for 10 to 15 minutes. I want it to be mostly done because then I'll fill it and then we'll put it back into the oven, probably just like another 5 to 7 minutes, just enough to warm the chicken and melt the cheese. So you know, check however you like it done. If you like it more smushy, you might have to cook it a little bit longer. I like my vegetables to have a little bit of a bite. So like I said, we're going to go for the 10 to 15 minute mark. So I'm going to put this in the oven and then we're going to get our filling mixed up. And we're back. All right, guys. So what I did was I chopped up some of that squash really fine. I'm going to put that in my bowl. I also had some scallions in the fridge. I decided to use up some of them before they go bad. So I just threw a little bit of scallion in here, a little bit of the white and green part. So that's what's in my bowl so far. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our chicken breast up. So now this will, you can use any kind of chicken. You can use whatever kind of meat that you want, really. If you have like a rotisserie chicken, or you baked a chicken, or you grilled some chicken like we did. Hey, even if you have canned chicken, that would work. Whatever you have. Like I said, this is just a way for me to use up the leftovers. I'm always trying to figure out new ways to do them because it's boring having the same stuff over. And we usually like to make a little bit of extra, so we have it for lunches or, like I said, another dinner. So what I'm going to do, again, is you can chop it however you want. If you want to have bigger pieces of chicken, do that. I kind of want to do a mixture of the chicken and the pepperoni. So my thought process is I want to cut it up pretty good so that it will incorporate well. I'm also going to add a little bit of that homemade marinara sauce to it just to help keep it moist. We'll stuff the squash with that mixture and then we're going to top it with cheese. So I just wanted to show you a little bit how I chopped up that chicken, and that's really it. I mean, if you wanted to, you could throw it in a food processor, I guess, and pulverize it a little bit more. But I think that these little pieces are going to work well for us. So I'm going to finish cutting up the chicken, and then we'll cut up the pepperonis and put in here, and then I'll show you what else I'm going to do because I'm not really sure yet. We're playing this by ear. All right, so I chopped up my chicken, so it's in the bowl with the scallions and that little bit of squash. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the pepperonis. I'm just going to chop them up, cut them in half, and just give them a little dice, and then we're going to mix that in with our chicken. See? Can you see the ideas coming together? Like I said, I'm still thinking about exactly what I'm doing, but we have the basics. You should be able to know what's going on by the time I'm done with this, okay? I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this. I'm going to add some seasonings to it. So I still have that rolling around in my head, so bear with me. While we go ahead, I'm just going to chop up the rest of that pepperoni, get that incorporated, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we have all of our chicken in the bowl and our pepperoni, and I started to season it. I put a little bit of salt in there, some pepper, some garlic and onion powder. I also think I'm going to add some Italian seasoning, which, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I did add a little bit of Italian seasoning to the top of the squash before I threw that into the oven. So just probably like a half a teaspoon. Remember, we're just going to kind of grind it in our hands. It helps to break it down. It releases some of the oils and fragrance in there. So what else are we going to put in there? Ooh, you know what, we should do a little bit of oregano. I do love oregano anytime I do something Italian. So let's do about the same, about a half a teaspoon or so of that, just in the palm of your hand. Like I said, we're just kind of crushing it up there. Don't mind my food bag over here that I have all my scraps in. That's a really great idea. It keeps you from running back and forth to the garbage, especially when you use a lot of vegetables. Well, actually, I save a lot of those, but like when you're doing eggs and stuff, it's just really nice to have a bag there handy. Okay, so sorry I don't have my see-through bowl today. This is the one I was making stuff in earlier. I just washed it and reused it. So we have all of that combined. I'm going to go ahead and taste it because nothing's raw in here, remember? You always want to taste your food. That tastes really good. So I don't have a lot of sauce. This was just a little bit of extra that I had that I threw in the freezer. And I don't want this to be super saucy anyway. I just want enough to give it the flavor and to moisten it. So that's why I didn't bother making any more. Just kind of trying to use up what I have in the freezer and in the fridge. So we get all that goodness out of there. I mean, we're just going to give it another mix just to combine that, and that'll just help hold it together once we put it into the squash. Now, the squash did beep at me after 10 minutes. I checked it with a fork. It's not quite where I want it, so I put it in for another 5 minutes. I think that's going to be perfect, but we'll check it, and then I'm going to take it out. I'm going to let it cool for probably about 10, maybe 15 minutes, just enough so that I can work with it without burning myself. And then we'll get these bad boys stuffed, and I'll show you how I do that. All right, so join me back here in just a few minutes. Oh, that came together nice. Look at that. That's perfect. That's the perfect amount of sauce. All right. All right, our squash is done. So I let that go for 15 minutes, and I think it's perfect. I've been letting it hang out for probably about 5 minutes or so. I also turned the oven back down to 350, so it's not so hot. And then that way, again, I can get my cheese to melt and everything to warm through without hopefully overcooking my chicken and drying it out at all. So the first thing we're going to do is probably not touch that with our bare hands, because that seems like that's a mistake, right? Yeah. All right, bring it a little bit closer here to our bowl. And I'm going to start with placing some cheese inside the squash, because you can't have too much cheese. I mean, maybe you could. I don't know. Not my world. Anyways, so we're just going to lay that there. Now, this is some sliced mozzarella that I got. You can use shredded. That would be great. Usually that's what I have. I happened to buy this for something else that I was going to make. Again, didn't get a chance to make it, so now we're going to use it in this application. And then I'm just going to take my spoon, and we're going to spoon our chicken mixture into our squash. Like so. Doesn't that look beautiful? I like that I added that little bit of green onion. It adds a little color to it. Now, I know this is not like a traditional chicken parm, because you don't put pepperoni in it. But again, I had the pepperoni thawed out. We like pepperoni. It's just a chicken parm inspired dish. We'll just call it that. So we're just going to fill that bad boy up as much as we can. I figure this will probably be really good leftover too. I have a feeling I'm going to have at least one leftover. I don't know, if the kids are really hungry, they might eat it all. You never know about them. Okay, so we're just going to kind of mound that in there. Oh, I know, right? Yeah, I like to make it full. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to go back with the cheese. So I'm going to make sure I move him over so the cheese doesn't scorch all over my pan. I cut the foil a little off-centered, so, you know, I was having a moment. Oh, and the phones are ringing. Okay, sorry about that. Everybody's calling at the same time. My goodness. All right, so anyways, so we are going to cover this bad boy with cheese. And I know it's going to melt all over and make a hot, gooey mess, but that's okay. I'm actually looking forward to this. And I think actually the sliced cheese is probably going to work out better than the shredded, because I don't have to worry about it like all falling off. Okay, so that's how we're going to stuff our squash. I'm going to do the rest of these, and then we're going to put them back into our oven. It's the 350-degree oven. Again, I'm probably going to cook it, I want to say maybe 5 to 8 minutes. Just enough until the cheese is all nice and melty on the top. And then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Here we go. All right, guys, dinner is done. It came out. It looks beautiful. The cheese is all nice and melty. I'm just grabbing my fork. I'm going to give it a little taste. We'll see how this came out. Cheesy. That's really good. I like that a lot. Okay, so I hope you guys will be inspired to maybe make something similar, maybe give you just some ideas. Like I said, right now, it's just a matter of making what we have in the house. So there you go. All right, guys, as always, I thank you for watching, for tuning in. I'll keep trying to do these videos for you as long as I can. Again, I apologize for last week that I didn't get one up. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you try this. If you have some other leftovers that you think might be good stuffed in a pepper or in a squash, comment. Let me know. All right, guys. So give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you like this video. Anything else that I can do. Be good. Be safe. Just take precautions, okay? All right, guys. Take care of yourself. Keep trying to smile. It makes a world of difference. All right. See ya.